Welcome to the Peak Performance and Peak Satisfaction podcast with Master Executive Coach Sherry Gregoff. Sherry helps business people perform better, get rewarded handsomely, and actually enjoy their work. After having her own career turnaround, she now helps other high-powered business professionals experience the same. Join the movement to work differently.
Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. In our high-powered business careers, it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day. We blink and it's 4 p.m. Quarters and years, they fly by. We may be heads down, focused on our business deliverables, and not setting aside time to strategically manage our own careers. For peak performance and peak satisfaction in our business careers, we must pause from the race of our successful businesses to decide a vision for our career and set a plan to achieve it. I have been offering complimentary career strategy sessions for years, as it is the most valuable hour that I could gift to any business professional. Today, we will dive deep on why this single step is precisely what is missing for most of us. Before we jump in, I want to shout out one of my clients who had a win in this area. Here is the quote from him. "While I have experienced tremendous success, I recognize that I am at an inflection point in my career, and I have the opportunity to shape how I work for the next chapter. I want to enjoy these next years instead of counting them down to retirement." This client scheduled his career strategy session, and by the time we concluded in this 1 hour together, he had been courageous enough to articulate what it was that he truly wanted from his career, even though it wasn't what his peers were doing, even though it felt like a risk in changing how he worked, even though it had created great success that had afforded him and his family much. He took radical ownership of where it was his fear-driven habits, not necessarily what others were requiring of him, that had him overworking. He shared vulnerably how his stress was only contributing to his health challenges and impacting his fight with cancer. We pinpointed the exact plan that would shift his way of working and living. We discussed how each component of my signature system would transform his unique situation. We dreamt big on what would be possible for him having applied this solution. We turned over every stone on his fears and uncertainties, and the reasons to proceed anyway. Similar victories are shared by all of my clients, and I have experienced it too in my own career turnaround. So let's hop to today's podcast content and get you on your way to experiencing this also. Most of us business professionals are so busy with our daily role that we don't pause long enough to reflect on our careers and what we want next. We may find it hard to be honest with ourselves, to acknowledge the internal conflict, the mismatch between what's important to us and how we are currently working. It's often a health scare or overhaul in the workplace that triggers this taking stock. More about that in my own career journey in episode 25, in case you missed it. And even when we recognize it, we may not give ourselves permission to change our long-term plan, adjust our career goals, or even consider a change. There can be a level of self-judgment, of shame even, of wanting more when we are already experiencing success that seemed impossible at one stage of life for us. Or a level of fear in changing what, in many regards, is a recipe for our work that has been successful. We may resist this pull towards more success and satisfaction, labeling it greedy or selfish, wanting our cake and eating it too. We often let our careers manage us. Traditional career paths, our environment, managers, are steering our professional journey, and we are just along for the ride, letting our careers unfold around us, blowing with the wind, or more accurately, glued to the train rails in one direction. we often overlook that we are in the driver's seat. We are at the wheel with our hand on the throttle, no one else. The solution to this autopilot default mode of working our jobs is to strategically manage our careers. This is how we take back control over our success, our quality of life, our professional outcomes. No matter the job, the boss, the team, the function, the company, the industry, the economic state, government, and societal norms, the most important variable in the equation of our success and satisfaction is us. To kick off this episode on career strategy, let's discuss the most common default strategies that we tend to employ in our careers, sometimes without much thought or contemplation, and even totally subconsciously. We usually will have fallen into said strategy or began with it out of pure necessity, and then just stayed there, repeating what seemed to work initially. If we aren't consciously and intentionally setting our career strategy, then we are likely following one of these. The first most common strategy is overworking. It's how many business professionals built up to their current level of success. The thought process might have been, if I can't guarantee perfection, or if I think I might be inadequate compared to those around me, what I can guarantee is that I will work my hardest and give it my all. I can outwork the others. We were scrappy, driven, resolved to making it work, to finding our way in business. We were resourceful, determined, and resilient in the twists and turns encountered early on in our careers. Sometimes this came from a matter of survival, financial security, and independence to care for ourselves or our families, or being the first in our families, the first to make it to college, or the first to work in business. With that meaningful and imminent driver, we persisted. This approach may have served us incredibly well as we racked up experience, deepened our expertise, and expanded our network of connections. Fast forward a decade or few, and that hustle and grind approach feels unsustainable. We love the success it brought, but we don't love the quality of work and life that we have in this season of our careers. There may have been an oscillation between wanting to aim for success without the sacrifice and a fear that change will cause us to lose our success. This overworking distracts us from aiming higher for both success and satisfaction. It keeps us on the hamster wheel, in the rat race, never exploring the better track. We trade well-being for productivity at all costs. We grow accustomed to the rush of adrenaline and cortisol when on a deadline or firefighting a work emergency, and then the pop of dopamine and endorphins when delivering a job well done. It fades quickly, so we seek the fix again, and so goes the vicious cycle. When presented with an opportunity to create positive change, subconsciously, that survival brain will offer up thoughts like these. I've made it this far and am almost at the pinnacle of my career. I just need to stick to the plan and keep working hard. The second most common strategy is busyness. We feel short on time with full calendars. There's always more work to be done than there is time in the day. We are racing to meet deliverables. We may tell ourselves that we don't have time for another thing, including proactively managing our careers. It's flawed logic. Investing the time in our career development is exactly what creates capacity. It gives us time back by stopping to prioritize, and it multiplies our output by working more effectively. If we think we are too busy to set our career strategy, the truth is we must set our career strategy because we are too busy. It's how we crack the code to break out of the cycle of busy and demand outpacing our capacity. Setting our career strategy, it multiplies our time and it accelerates us through years of our career development. Time and energy invested in our own career success and satisfaction compounds in the form of time, money, and energy. When presented with an opportunity to create positive change, subconsciously that survival brain will offer up thoughts like these. I don't have enough time to even think about this opportunity. I have too much going on and too many obligations to even consider doing this right now. The third most common strategy is procrastination. Setting a strategy sounds valuable, but we'll get to it later. After this big project wraps, after I make that next promotion, once I build up my savings, after the kids are grown, after the kids are out of the house, and any other variety of reasons to postpone this activity. We tell ourselves, with the best of intentions, that we'll get to that next week, when things slow down, when it's more convenient. But this is just a habit that keeps us from getting what we want. It's a version of self-sabotage. Going all out for what we want risks potential failure. One way to increase certainty in that situation is to quit before we start, or better said, to postpone starting. Each day that we postpone what we know we want, the probability of it happening shrinks smaller. Our brains procrastinate, deferring doing something new, and working to conserve energy at every step. We stay right where we are, repeating old routines, reaping the same results. When presented with an opportunity to create positive change, subconsciously, that survival brain will offer up thoughts like these. I will wait for when I feel truly ready and the time is right. Maybe I'll make a change next year. The fourth most common strategy is to default to status quo. Status quo can seem safe and familiar. We reason it's kept us alive this long and with career success to boot. So, rinse and repeat. When faced with the prospect of positive change, it may initially seem risky. We go to the other end of the spectrum and think that changing our situation at this point would require burning our career to the ground to start over in another industry. As a result, we may feel trapped in our careers or that we're working in a default mode. We may feel the weight of golden handcuffs and think it would be completely irrational to change our approach given this level of success. Underneath it all is fear of failure and the unknown. We may fear looking foolish, choosing the wrong thing, or later regretting our decision. In an attempt to keep us from experiencing failure, the brain defaults to doing the same thing it's already done. Our brain's goal is to keep us alive, to survive. This can work against us when we are aiming higher to thrive. When presented with an opportunity to create positive change, subconsciously, that survival brain will offer up thoughts like these. I'm not sure how to change. What if the worst case scenario happens and I lose it all? I'm going to stick to what I know. Now ask me how I know these most common strategies. I have been their friends, and many of us are there right now. So there's no shame in our game. Overall, with any of these unintentional default strategies, in an effort to avoid taking risk, we inadvertently take the biggest risk of all. We continue working and living as we always have, regretting how we spend our days and not exploring our highest potential in our work. The thing is, every day is another chance to do things differently, to quote, get it right, as measured by how you feel when you lay your head down on the pillow at night, which eventually is how you will look back on your career and life. To counteract this pull to merely survive, we need to intentionally take steps forward, outside our comfort zone, towards what we want, even before we can see the path clearly. We can excel in and love our career. Our future is worth investing in, and this is just a new skill set, one that wasn't taught in business school and isn't part of training at the office. This is managing our careers strategically. It takes doing something different to see different results in the way of compensation, promotion, bigger roles, increased flexibility, increased fulfillment, confidence, clarity, alignment, and more. The first decision that you make in this process is that status quo isn't the strategy for the different results you seek. Then you take one step forward, even when you can't see the end game in the future. Then another and another. Let's clear up 5 common obstacles to setting our career strategy next so that we can clear the path and the way forward. The number one obstacle is that we say we don't know what we want next in our career. Confusion or indecision is just a distraction where we can choose to camp out. Deciding what we want may seem so final, so it's often more comfortable to sit on the fence, or so we tell ourselves. By the way, have you ever sat on a fence? It's not pleasant. Another obstacle is that our emotions may run high about our careers. The intertwining of our work with our identities makes us quite sensitive about our work. We may just want to avoid feeling all the feelings. So it's easier to pop back into default mode, heads down, and work the task in front of us. Next, setting our career strategy may just sound like more work. If we're already drowning in work responsibilities, we may avoid one more thing like the plague. Also, as business leaders, we often feel pressure to know it all and have all the answers, being the fixer for everyone around us. But when it comes to something as high stakes and impactful as leading in our own career, we may feel at a loss. We aren't accustomed to asking for help. So we may read and do research, consuming knowledge, but not knowing how to apply it to our situation for real benefit. Lastly, setting a career strategy can seem selfish, self-centered. It's much more tempting to stay in service mode, focused on our clients, our managers, our teams. We tell ourselves it sounds self-promoting or consumed with advancement rather than on helping others. So we drown our focus in what everyone around us needs and asks of us instead. Here's the truth behind each of these obstacles. Setting a career strategy is committing to investigating and deciding what your future vision is for your career. A decision, a willingness to put a stake in the ground. Setting a career strategy is a methodical way to cut through the high emotion around our careers to set a logical plan to achieve that vision. Setting a career strategy saves you effort by becoming a filter for and a guidepost directing every ounce of energy to make it count. Setting a career strategy ensures that you follow a process to apply what you know and carefully learn what you don't yet. Setting a career strategy creates momentum and positivity that benefits your business, your team, your clients, and also your partner, your children, your friends, and your community, all getting the best of you. So maybe at this point you recognize the default strategy you may have been following to date. You see how the obstacles keeping you from setting your career strategy aren't logical. So let's get down to it and get started. Let's strategically and intentionally lead our careers. No more letting it unfold by chance with influence from everything and everyone around us. When we raise our own level of awareness, we establish our own vision, and we take a disciplined approach to theorizing the next best step, implementing, learning from that feedback, iterating, and implementing again, we start intentionally creating the results we want in our career. We shape our role in which we sit. We maximize our opportunity in that role. We methodically and carefully evaluate our current situation against our other options. We expand our universe of alternatives. We deeply explore and discover what uniquely drives us and what positive change would constitute for us specifically. Not for the Joneses, or our partners, or our clients, for us. This breaks us out of playing small and following the well-trodden path. This approach makes the best use of our unique skills, talent, and perspective. It calls us to a higher purpose, requiring continuous growth, but not in an exhausting way, in a self-propelled, renewable, endless source of energy kind of way. We tap into a new cycle of positive momentum that builds on itself. So let's talk details. As a COO, y'all know I love the details on how things work. My signature system is 6D. No virtual reality glasses required. It's a 3-pronged process through which you develop 3 critical elements. The 3-pronged process is clarity in decisions, strategic action, and perspective shift. The 3 critical elements are skill set mastery, tools and strategies, and a new philosophy. 6D. This system is a combination of performance coaching, leadership development, business consulting, and life coaching. Let's break it down to understand how we can strategically manage our careers. With new clarity and perspective, we are ready to take strategic action. So first up, clarity and decisions. This is where we define success on our own terms, what our priorities are, what values are non-negotiable, and specify our driving cause that has us showing up at work day after day. Our driving cause in changing how we show up, or changing what work we show up to. Now, without the clarity of your vision, any efforts in your career can feel like flailing or fits and starts. In contrast, with this clarity from decisions made, you always feel on track, moving forward in your career. For example, you might be climbing the corporate ladder, but never stop to evaluate why. Stop chasing goals that may not be yours by clarifying exactly what you want, defining success on your own terms, and then aligning everything else around your priorities and values, deciding them ahead of time and sticking to them. Next is strategic action. Doing the same thing or nothing guarantees the same results in your work and life, or worse. We can set new habits that have us consistently taking strategic action, assessing and iterating. We experiment with new action in the office. Then we step back to regroup, celebrate wins, learn from our experiments, to iterate our next approach. We step back out to implement and learn again. Consistency of application and implementation is where we see the impact. Last is perspective shift. This is where we get our brain on board with the plan. We measure progress rather than the gap with perfection. We all have blind spots, but some can be incredibly costly. A shift in perspective, in mindset, and what we know to be true can change our lens on our work and life immediately. Your brain can be your greatest asset if it is intentionally managed. Every crisis that comes up can be used as an opportunity. Perfectionism, procrastination, and self-sabotage are eliminated so that you are at your best. Within this 3-prong approach, you will develop these 3 elements. First is skill set mastery. These are concrete skills that business professionals need to be their most effective. Many of these we struggle to master. Here are examples. Articulate your passion and your value add in your professional branding. Successfully elicit candid feedback from stakeholders and incorporate it by leveraging strengths and setting your development agenda. Effectively navigate organizational dynamics and corporate politics to drive collaboration and garner support. Actively performance manage teams and managers of teams, making difficult talent decisions, and holding the courageous conversations. Reclaiming control of your calendar to do the work you enjoy and carve out time for strategic work daily for higher return on effort and satisfaction. Second is the tools and strategies to apply in each of these three prongs. For example, within clarity and decisions, this includes your leadership vision and alignment check, your rank priorities and non-negotiables. Within strategic action, it includes boundary setting, maximizing peak productivity through habits and rituals, style guide and trust builder with stakeholders, and strategies to reap recognition. Within perspective shift, it includes work trauma fix, detachment detox, flow state finder, and intuition tap. The third element is adopting a new philosophy, my philosophy on work and success. This is a shift from many of the commonly held beliefs, such as success requires sacrifice, hustle and grind is the only way to attain and maintain success. Title, productivity, and compensation are measures of our self-worth that we often compare to peers and despair. We regard our job as safety and security. We believe we are trapped in our jobs and not meeting expectations on what we should have accomplished by this age, while also feeling too paralyzed to make a change. We think if we are not producing, accomplishing, achieving, we are failing and not worthy. We become human doings rather than human beings. Instead, we can adopt a new philosophy. These are the truths that I have found to be more accurate, and they free us up to perform our best in every aspect of work and life. Here are some examples. You hold the pen on what happens next in your career and are in far more control over your success than other people and even your circumstances. This single realization is the key to creating the career that we want. We all have untapped potential and room for continuous improvement in how we manage our career and our professional satisfaction. We can have it all. Success on our own terms in our career, health, and relationships all at once. We are fully responsible for everything around us in our careers and lives. We are not our work, so our output does not determine our self-worth. Work is an opportunity to use our talents, to have an impact, to be in our flow state where we are challenged and we enjoy it. Internal conflict and confusion comes from working without a roadmap. We never lose. We win or learn from every action, able to handle and value the outcome, even if it's not the original one we hoped for. Everything is figure-outable, and we can grow our resilience and resourcefulness. An upgraded mindset is our most valuable asset that catapults us forward in our professional and personal development for success on our own terms. We can curate our emotions by shifting our mindset, what we focus on, our thoughts, and ultimately the lens through which we view every situation. By taking the lead in your career and setting your strategy with intention, you are on your way to having your goals become reality one by one. With my 6D signature system, your increased success and improved satisfaction is inevitable. It adds up in a big way. A dream career where we do what we love, with clear purpose, while having fun, getting rewarded handsomely, with better health and improved relationships. You may have thought that this wasn't possible for you. I assure you that it is. It's my business. This is the time for you to take the lead in your career. Your future is dependent on it. No one else will make sure you are growing or securing that dream role or pausing long enough to look up from the day-to-day to make the years count. The sooner you take the reins on your career, the more you excel in your work and the more you enjoy it. By proactively taking initiative, we feel empowered. We tap into new levels of potential, capacity, and brilliance. We thrive in our work, and we look forward to it. You don't have to do this alone. Schedule your complimentary career strategy session during my consult week, happening this last week of February. This is your next step to excelling in and loving your work. In honor of Consult Week, here is a sneak peek inside what to expect in that single power hour with me to get you well on your way to setting a more constructive career strategy. Come as you are to your career strategy session. What may feel initially like a data dump, and just answering my questions, will allow you to get the jumble of factors in your career out and onto the table with me. Come as you are to your career strategy session. What may initially feel like a data dump and just answering some simple questions will allow you to get the jumble of factors in your career out of your head and onto the table with me. You can be completely honest, unfiltered, and raw, knowing that there is zero judgment from me and no shock either, as I have seen it all. Everything shared is 100% confidential. Nothing getting back to colleagues, family members, or friends. Ultimately, the only thing you need to do is show up, not for me, but for yourself. Then, I will take care of the rest. With me as your trusted guide, progress, clarity, and calm is always on the other side of the session. By the end of the hour, you will have a deeper understanding of the issue you are facing or the goal that you are pursuing, a new, more constructive perspective, and specific next steps and strategies to create the outcome you want. While those next steps may feel new and different, there's an excitement and hope knowing that they will create the desired result in your work and life. You may arrive feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and undecided. You will leave feeling clear, confident, and purposeful, armed with your clear vision, the winning mindset, and specific actions to achieve it. Every business person can perform better in their work and have greater satisfaction. It takes pausing to reflect and to upgrade our perspective and strategies. This is how we avoid career plateaus and burnout. This is how careers, businesses, families, communities, and lives are improved. We boost your performance and satisfaction together by setting your career strategy side by side. And you start enjoying the peace from trusting the plan, trusting the process immediately. Until next time.
Looking for support in applying the principles and strategies in today's episode? Sherry coaches clients one-on-one as their trusted confidant and advisor, helping each client create the work and life they had only dreamed of. To schedule your complimentary career strategy session, go to sherrygregoff.com/apply to book time with her today. It's one simple step that can change everything.